Today, Winson Chan, VP of Tridel, offers a rare behind-the-scenes perspective on how large-scale development decisions are made in one of North America's most competitive housing markets. From market cycles and buyer behavior to long-term urban planning, his work sits at the intersection of housing demand, policy, and investment strategy. With 3 decades of experience in pre-construction and high-rise development sales, Winson brings insight into how developers assess risk, forecast demand, and navigate shifting economic conditions while continuing to deliver housing at scale in the Greater Toronto Area. On this episode, we explore the evolving relationship between developers, agents, investors, and of course, the end user and client. The realities of pre-construction in today's market and what professionals must understand about supply, pricing, and long-term strategy. Whether you're an agent, an investor, or industry leader, this conversation provides a strategic lens on where, how, and why the market is heading and who will be positioned to win over the next cycle. I will see you inside the Broker's Playbook podcast. Welcome back, everyone, and I'm here with Winson Chan. Winson, welcome to Broker's Playbook.
Thank you, Simeon.
I'm going to just get started for those who don't know who you are. If you've been in the business for more than a couple of years, it's unlikely that you haven't heard of Winson Chan. Winson is the VP. He's been running sales for just over 30 years for Tridel, and we have had the pleasure, and hundreds of us in the industry in the GTA have had the pleasure of doing business with the developer and with his specific sales team. And I just really want to start with a little bit about kind of your journey of where it started and where you're at today, because I really want to dive into a few different segments. One being, you know, your insight from the development side of the business, and then really get into the pre-construction market today, what you see in the consumer, what you see in today's agent as well. But I want to start with you. Tell me a little bit about what should people know about you that you feel is important.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm not that important, and thank you for all the kind words. And I just happen to be an individual that worked for the same company for the past 30 years. And I am so grateful to the brand Tridel and the Del Soto family and the Footman family. And interestingly, I actually worked as a realtor before. And at the time, I was going to school, and I was just trying to find a kind of a part-time job to do. So I become a licensed realtor. And then at the end of the day, everything I sold ended up to be a Tridel product. So rather than going for the inspection, end up the best product for my client back then was a newly built Tridel condo or maybe a casita, like a townhomes. That's how we described it back then. And then I have opportunity to work for the same company for the past 32 years. And I seen what happening now. Compared to, I see a few cycle, and you know, I just dated myself, but it's very interesting to see how our market kind of evolve. Currently, it's a different market. I would anticipate a little bit of consolidation moving forward, but I think that one of the important message I wanted to get across is, yes, sometimes there is a headline to kind of describe the market, but do not just stop on the headline and ask a little bit more question. You know, ask entity like yourself, because you are, even me as very grateful for your work you've done to the industry, because you provide a lot of education. I'm benefited. I'm sure a lot of consumer and a lot of your broker benefited. And I think that's very important for us to kind of hear it from a different angle.
And thank you. That's why we do it, because we like to help interpret what we see. And if it resonates with people, great. But a lot of times people say, hey, man, I appreciate your opinion, but have you heard of this? This is where I get my education. By sharing my opinion, people share back.
Yeah.
And that's how we get ahead. So having you here, like my very first question to you is, what is the difference in mindset? When you go into a leadership meeting, you're the VP of sales. Your sales team leads the sales across the entire company of Tridel. What's their mindset versus the real estate agent mindset versus the consumer mindset? And how do you marry it all?
I think the fundamental difference is like when you make a purchasing decision on behalf of a purchaser. I mean, when you operate as a brokerage, as a real estate consultant for the consumer, your mindset will be a little bit shorter term. So you focus on the current market, the current needs, and then you'll be able to kind of find a home for your consumer, and then the whole transaction will be kind of finished within a month or two. And then you'll be able to kind of react to the market and act up accordingly. In the developer mindset, it's a whole, interestingly, it's a much longer period of time. So development business is almost like a business of allocated resources. First, it's the land economics. It's that particular land.
Like acquiring and holding.
Acquiring the land, and then the density, and then the cost of the lands in relation to your overall investment. The other part of it is the cost, obviously. Like we have to deal with the cost, and perhaps a lot more than what the inflation affecting us, like the construction costs, and then way back we have to deal with the supply chain issue and whatnot too. And last but not least is the market dynamics and the market absorption in the longer run. Because let's face it, no matter what type of developer you are, you're building a house or building a townhome. So for us, build developer too, the duration is a lot longer. So to build condominium, like 4 to 7 years too, and then you have applied the same mindset, the risk mitigation, the profit and loss analysis for a much longer period of time.
But that's fascinating, because when Tridel looks at a project and it's going to be, let's call it 400 or 500 units, 800 units over 3 phases, whatever the case may be, how and who makes a decision as to what the future may look like? What kind of fortune-telling techniques per se, or maybe let's frame it properly. What kind of data do they use to see that, hey man, this neighborhood here, it's really short right now. This is what it has coming already. I think if we were to do this here, this is gonna work. What kind of mind looks at that data and makes a decision on putting a bet down on Unionville, putting a bet down on 427 in Renforth, or whatever?
Yes, as you mentioned, it's a really complicated decision. It's a collective effort of the entire team, from acquisition, development, and pricing, sales and marketing.
Planning and zoning.
Yeah, we only give our expertise in terms of sales and marketing on that side. But so as you can appreciate, this would we need to apply a lot more person to be able to kind of deal with this type of decision that we made. And most importantly, how I look at it is you really, first and foremost, no one can time the market. And no one is. But however, certain data, it's relevant, and also the fact that if you are a developer in the business for so long, say for instance, Tridel been in business for the past 92 years, 90,000 homes too. So we have a certain intel that we be able to look for it.
Draw upon.
And then also, most importantly, the dynamics of the demographics, right? So when we determine a particular community, a certain the sign of the product too, we have to take a look at the demographics. And right now, the immediate market obviously is the aging baby boomer, the Gen X, and all that too. And I'm sure they hear about one of the biggest wealth transfers going to happen there too. So what type of product that you would need to anticipate it for the next 4 to 7 years? It's not just immediate, but you also needed to work for it too. So if you take a look at our past community that we created, we're also fortunate enough to be able to just diversify even within the community. We do have some starter home, a smaller part of the starter home, but we put a big focus on a home size condominium. that for people to kind of smart sizing into condominium and a new lifestyle. So those intel and those deliverables is utmost important. And the current market condition reflect that. Like if the
course.
developer be able to right size the product or have the right mix of the product too, you be able to kind of reach out to the market. And currently, obviously, there's certain product like the smaller product we kind of overbuilt, but that doesn't mean that particular market is gone. We just need to kind of deal with that inventory.
That's right.
Have a little bit over for now. And currently,
it's also because there's more
size,
choice.
right?
I'll tell you that's also temporary. Some people might think it's overbuilt. I actually don't think those small units are overbuilt. Those are going to be always the most affordable units. The only reason you see a glut of those right now is because the interest rates, the affordability overall in the marketplace created a lot of people to stop buying and start renting. If you actually look at the data of the amount of transactions, overall, rental plus sold equals, the number over the last 5 years hasn't changed.
Absolutely.
What has changed is the composition of sale versus rental. 4 years ago, it was 75% sale, 25% rental. Right now, it's 65% rental, 35% sale.
Absolutely. And
So people haven't stopped moving.
Yeah.
People stopped buying because they fear they will make a mistake, because confidence is at an all-time low, because the only thing they hear about is layoffs over here, tariffs over here, shut this down over here. The negativity has changed consumer behavior. So, of course, if I can get a 2-bedroom for $2,300 that used to be $2,900 or $3,200 versus 1 plus den, of course I'm going to take the 2-bedroom. I'm going to take the 1 plus den at $1,800 that used to be $2,400. There is a shift. There's not a shortage or an overage. The market is producing this, and the moment this glut of condos, in my opinion, goes away, the market dynamics are going to shift in a very, very big way.
Yeah, and I think very well said. And I think one of the things that you hear about the media and kind of count out that particular market is absolutely not. And even if you think about even recently, in the start of the year too, there were a lot of people started to work in downtown. Mm-hmm. And last couple of weeks, I went to downtown and see lined up. So what people lined up for? It's lined up to go to the bar after work. So meaning that there's a lot of folks that started to go there too.
They're back at the office. They're back at the office.
So downtown condo would still have a market. And then to your point about like this is also an integral part of the whole real estate cycle. You needed a starter home for a one bedroom for them to get into the market, and when this market move up to the next level, perhaps a townhome, detached home, and then the whole cycle.
I really like the context you put, because we're going to go back to market cycle, because when you aged yourself and said that you've been at it for 32 years, that takes us back to 1994.
That's correct.
So we're going to go back to that. But you just said something a second ago. Downtown Toronto, you saw lineups. You asked what the lineups were, and there's people that went back to the office that are going for a drink after work. How long do you think these people who are, call it between 25 and 40, 25 and 40 is the driver of any economy. After that is children. It's the different stage. You're raising teenagers and all the things. 25 to 40 is a significant part of someone's life. And if you're working downtown and you were mandated back to the office, of course you want to go blow off some steam after work. And of course you don't want to spend 2 hours in transit going back home. All those people are going to move back into the city.
Absolutely. And then
and these are big, big drivers.
Yes. And then also don't forget, Simeon, too, even if you try to find another good plot of land in downtown, there isn't any, even if we wanted to build any. So I think you really need to see the whole dynamics in the context. And in terms of, you talk about the smaller home investment, the whole cycle too. The cycle right now is stuck because of the uncertainty, and then I don't blame them, because like even honestly the first time buyer coming into, if someone goes, oh, will I be able to get a HST or a PST back? Theoretically, yes. So if you know how to actually get it to, even for all this like
Yeah.
incentive, create a lot of uncertainty incoming too. So in the long term outlook, it's not really as bad. And then you're talking about the first time buyer and all this first time buyer. Remember I commented about the biggest one of the biggest wealth transfer, and the bank of mom and dad, just like me, would actually help fuel that one, and it's happening any minute. I'm actually going through this as we speak. I'm a bank of mom and dad, and my daughter's getting married, and then try to find a townhome in Unionville. So if you believe in the headline, hey, it's buyer market, I don't even need to worry about it. I just call CMN, you'll be able to give me a townhome 30-40% off. Wrong.
Wrong.
Right? So if I see that particular homes too, I put in an offer to, that I use an example just happening 3 days ago. That particular home was listed for 900,000, 9 offer, and up sold for 1.1 million. You don't expect to hear the story
At this time in the market.
At this time of the market. So now I'm not saying the market recover totally, but at least there's some sign. And
Yes.
we commented about the first time buyer. We commented about the bank of mom and dad, the biggest wealth transfer. This cycle, it's happening. And we are
do
in
you
it.
see similarities in cycles? Again, you got in the business in 1994, which is kind of what 2026 is to 2022. You entered the market at a time that the market was at a bust after a big crash in 1991. 89 to 91 was the big, where the brakes came on. 94 to almost 2000 was a very tough market. It was a long downward cycle. Do you see similarities from that cycle to this cycle?
Big
Is it-
time.
Yes.
100%. And arguably, whatever I'm about to say will be
And I ask this with genuine interest because I did not work through that cycle.
Yeah.
I entered the business in 06. I was licensed in 07. In my journey, I just did my 20th year is this year, but I know nothing anecdotally from that time. I've heard stories from people I respect dearly. Take us through some of those similarities, how you dealt with them then, and how you're dealing with them now.
And then interestingly, if you ask me to describe 1994 compared to now, arguably I think the market back then is easier. Now, however, if you take a look into the context, if you think about 1994, I know you're not from around the time too. So from 1994, a typical home in, say, Finch and Bayview area, how much is it? Around 250,000.
Sure.
Right? So back then, I was just first hired by Tridel as a salesperson for a project called Palace Gate, 3181
Yes,
Dillon.
sir. Yes, sir.
And then interesting, it's too beautiful, by the way. Like if you take a look and over there too, and sometime we should do an episode, we'll take a look at the classic building too. I challenge you to go in 30 years building, you would still say, wow. Now, long story short is back then my task as a salesperson is to sell you as a consumer a beautiful, luxurious condominium in North York for $399,000. Easy, right? Like compared to the $1 million condo that we're selling. But I challenge you, it's a lot more difficult. Remember my first comment, the detached home. So if I ask Simeon to list my home, boom, I sold it for $250,000, and I want to smart sizing into a beautiful Tridel condo, $399,000. You still need to find me $150,000 cash back then.
That's right.
For us to do that transaction. And then long story short, I still be able to get that project sold. Otherwise, I won't be still employed, right? So transaction happening, interest rate a lot higher. Like even if you want to smart size in the home, you still need to find extra cash. And fast forward to now, 2026, and same thing. I asked the Simeon team to list my property at Finch and Bayview without looking at the property, 2.5 million or 3 million, easy in Bayview Village area.
That's right.
And the same transaction, and then your team also needed to help this particular purchase to smart sizing in the condominium, say 1.5 million. Easy deal because you sold for $3 million and 1.5 million, they don't even need to worry about because they make X amount of dollar for equity. And remember, we talked about the bank of mom and dad.
Yes.
Now that I have the equity that I can help my bank of mom and dad to come in too. So interestingly, we have all the interesting dynamic is ready. And believe me, if for that particular purchaser 32 years ago, they are when they ready. They're not ready to smart sizing a condominium. 32 years later, believe me, they're ready now. So this is the mindset that we really need to dissect and understand the demographic now. Yes, the market runs through a certain challenge, but there is still opportunity.
Well, what opportunities or what type of techniques would you say agents need to identify to have success in a market like this?
A very good question. I think
So let me try to guide you a little bit for what I'm looking for. It's like when people hear Tridel, they hear pre-construction. When people hear a developer's name, they think pre-construction. Right now, there's 25,000 condominiums unsold across the Golden Horseshoe. I believe that that is the biggest missed opportunity on planet Earth. If I were to go to see you privately, if I were to go see the next developer privately and say, can I please market 5 of your units like they're my own listing? Whether you sign a listing, you don't sign a listing, nobody's looking right now. Is there opportunities for agents to come and really put marketing and effort behind it and get rewarded in a time where 5 years ago they couldn't get a unit to save their lives because it was hot? What's the opportunity right now for agents to work with Tridel, to work with any recognized developer?
the opportunity is action. So back then, we don't have time, right? So when we were transacting very good, I would say 5 to 7 years ago, there was no effort. We are just transacting a product.
Order taking.
Order taking. But our basic fundamental is you and I are selling homes. You are in the resale market, I'm in the home business too. These two could easily marry.
Not a product, a home.
A home. So that is something that we need to fundamentally understand. Like we're no longer selling a product. It's not just price, profit, and all that too. Like when you transacted a home, all this price or I lost value in a certain location, I may not have a price appreciation, all this becomes secondary. Because if I be able to find your perfect home, arguably it is priceless, right? So if you wanted to find that particular location, the perfect home, one of a kind, that's priceless. So I think this is something that we can work on it together. Before, even if I have opportunity to, you're right, like I don't even have a product for you to sell, and then you have not have time to do it. But will the market at any given time that there's still market? 100%.
Yes.
And for one particular listing, how many potential customers you need? One. So you just need to kind of using the resale market to work with builders now too. Now, we may now have some opportunity for inventory because back then when the market is good, I won't even have opportunity to give you a model home or actual inventory for you to sell. That's something that you have opportunity now.
Yes.
But the first step is seeing is believing. So when you just have the concept in mind, hey, I want to work for a developer too, while you have not even visit the developer or understand the condominium living. I just use that. Like say 32 years ago, Palace Gate, yes, it's so beautiful, even now. But wait till you see some of the product like Royal Bayview, Aqualuna, The Well. It's the next level. You and I both visit there too. It's the next level. And even both you and I wanted to be indulge into the new living, like
It's incredible
and all that too. So, but without that experience, you included, would you experience the new condominium and look like that? And also the other opportunity.
Well, and also like to sell it. If you don't understand the product, how could you possibly sell it?
Yeah.
How could you possibly build the case for it?
And also, since we're not talking about just product too, it's how about needs, right? So ask a lot of questions surrounding, like, would your son and daughter getting married? And if I needed to kind of smart size in the condo because of health issue too, all of a sudden that purchasing decision no longer is transacted by number and product. And it is a home. Like if I, like, again, using myself as an example, right now, I'm eager to find my daughter
to settle them
first home.
Yeah.
So what I need to worry about, the price going to drop like 10%, 20%, or even increase by 20%, I care less. Because I focus on the needs. It's, say, for instance, and I'm getting older, I have problem with my legs, and I cannot climb the stairs too. That become needs, and be sensitive about the surrounding and bring them to work with a developer to understand what does a condominium is look like, and even pre-construction. Don't count out pre-construction, right?
Sure.
Because say if you look for that particular area, there is none available. So pre-construction offer you opportunity that particular don't have availability. You have new availability, and then you'll be able to kind of, divided the deposit for you to kind of afford your first home or even your retirement home in the future. So I think it's a great opportunity, but the first action is to have the interaction with us first.
Excellent. Which takes me to the next question, because we just kind of spoke to the condo market. Do you see further slowdown? Do you see stabilization of the market? Or is this all just a repositioning based on big politics? What do you think? Where do you think we are in this cycle as of winter, spring 2026?
Yeah, I think for us, we are going through a reset of the market, and sometimes it's good. Like, and I commented about, first and foremost, sometimes that we don't have is the time and availability of the product in the market. So for those of you looking for a product too, don't do that when I do not have product,
Right.
when you do not have time to look for it. And interestingly, today could be a pretty good time moving forward. And the market to me is changed, and I would see some consolidation of the product too. And then I think you have an excellent comment about the supply side of the business too. Would we actually oversupply systematically? We undersupply anyway. So if you actually take a look in the long run demand and supply dynamic, demand is not changed as much. Immigration was still incoming. Yes, it's a lower number, but arguably it will be a more quality. Foreign student, again, same opportunity. They're not welcome in the state. They now become welcome in here. Job opportunity like AI and tech business, production business. All of a sudden,
Oil and gas is on fire again.
right. So, and I think, especially in Toronto, we would have more of this opportunity. And the current market that we're experiencing, while a lot of developer, including us, do not have the same type of product launching. And then you talk about 2028, 2029, 2032, the production will be very little. And then even then, if you need us to kind
That's
of
right.
build it too, would need 4 to 7 years. So in the long run, I'm not as worried. And I think what we're going through is now, as you mentioned, quite a few keywords. It's the confident, and then I do see some consolidation of the market. All of a sudden, your education become even more relevant because they would not just go to any agent to get advice. They would go to people like yourself.
Well, I also think it has a lot to do with the developer themselves. You happen to be with one of the most respected developers in the country, that being Tridel, and them being chosen and or being able to take on high-profile projects such as One Bloor West. And you guys are going to be looking at finishing one of the biggest landmarks in the country. Bringing in your partners, bringing in your expertise to see a landmark come to completion, come to fruition in a way that I believe only Tridel can. And that's exciting. As a visionary company, Tridel is, who is going to be the next generation of pre-construction buyers? So as an agent, where should my attention be in trying to target? Is a first-time home buyer able to buy 5 years in advance? I believe the answer would possibly be no. Is it a new crop of investors? How do you pencil and or underwrite pre-construction in today's market?
I think, as I mentioned earlier too, the long-term dynamic haven't changed. We really need to kind of iron out a lot of uncertainty.
So we just have to look at this as what it is, a long-term play.
Right. In the first section of our section, we talk about what's the difference between, your private operator as a real estate agent versus developer. We are a longer run business. And then now it's a good time for us to kind of do the reset. We'll be able to kind of going back to the drawing board, design the right size home for the market to create a one-of-a-kind story. And also pre-construction, it's always be an opportunity for a different segment of market we enter into it. Now, the good news is there's 2 things that we do not have before now we have. First, time.
Right.
That you have time to not just compare pre-construction and then add pre-construction as your choices. And why would you count out a new cars? Like when you saw for different cars, yes, used cars better value, but new car also develop different attributes or attribute deliverables.
Of course, it's a new car.
And again, new home is a new home.
That's right.
And then that particular location may not be a community; it could be a future community. So there is now that have time to better understand.
And that's upside. So when people are buying, they look at many different variables.
Yeah.
Buying a new home in a new community, knowing it's, for example, a master plan community, you know factually that it is extremely unlikely that a following phase is going to be priced less than
Right.
the existing phase. You can almost, and I'm not going to say there should be no speculation, but the likelihood of the next phase costing less than the first phase is slim to none. As costs increase, as infrastructure increases, development charges and everything else. So somebody who's looking to buy new is not just buying a new condo for their family. They're investing in their future and they're investing in their neighborhood to become all it can be.
Yeah, and then also you mentioned about the price too. To me, like if you be able to find your perfect home in a new community, in a new home, that sometimes is priceless. And then also don't forget the building code, like the green aspect of the building technology. Like say for instance, if you look for a 30 years old condominium, you won't have the smart locker, the smart home system that you have, license plate recognition, and then all the deliverables that if you go to see. Our community at Royal Baby, you're basically overlooking the golf community. Those that doesn't exist before. So those would create you more choices. I'm not saying that, hey, one is better than the other. But in your home buying journey or investment or buying home for yourself, for your son and daughter, for your retirement home too, this is a viable option for you to do. Like how to do it, find consultant under book a Playbook because they're educated, they be able to kind of find you, at least to give you an option. You won't purchase something that, hey, you know what, I wish Simeon be able to show me this option before.
Listen, I've been to so many towers the last few years. We've taken delivery of hundreds of projects that we've sold with. And to walk into a building where your door unlocks within that 12-inch proximity. So as you have your grocery bags in your hand, your door, you hear it unlock. You push it open. It closes. As you drove in, you never had to look for fobs. You didn't lose your fob. You didn't program your car. But license plate recognition, like you mentioned, opens the door. Life can be very comfortable and convenient in newer developments.
Yeah, and then you have to experience it, right? Of course. So the first call of action is before you discount pre-construction, you have to go and see it. Like honestly, for the past 5 to 7 years, honestly, none of us do our job properly. Some of the design feature that I don't even have time to tell you, and then you're buying it. Now that everything is slowed down a little bit, and that's good. So that you be able to go in and, hey, why try that?
Experience it.
Yeah, why Royal LePage Signature? Why Simeon Team?
Sure.
And then you would then truly tell the difference, and you have not even visited.
Sure.
How would you know? And then honestly, I'm very proud that I'm even impressing you. You sold hundreds of studies of condominium. You go into the Wow, you go into Royal Bayview. The first thing covered about which we are very proud is Wow, right? So again,
That well is.
yeah, but then I wanted this for your audience, like your book or Playbook member, that you go and experience it. Like it may not be a transaction, but it will be even a conversation starter. This is what sales and marketing.
That's right.
Right? And I visit the Tridel and the Wow. You would need to see what is an urban oasis mean. Like you be able to all world-class restaurant downstairs, and then all this. A lot of people still don't know. So it is seeing is believing, and you be surprised that when you be able to kind of amplify this message to your customer, you be able to find, they're actually looking for a condo, and ask for a referral, right? So even if they're not interested, hey, do you have anyone that will be looking interested
For something this spectacular, yes.
right? So a small home and pre-construction, and don't assume that they don't, and they may be. Because one of the things for pre-construction is you don't need to come up with like 20% deposit right away, and then you be able to kind of put it over time. Those are all the good attributes for pre-construction. A lot of people forgot. that we have, right? And plus all this new incentive incoming too, it may not be a bad option.
Winson, as we're gonna close off Broker's Playbook Open podcast and going into the members only section in just a second, may you please leave our brothers and sisters across the country with one piece, one nugget of how they could do one extra deal this year using inventory product as a guide.
Yeah, I think my advice is to be the eyes and ears for a developer or even for your business too. There is an actual imminent wealth transfer happening now. Bank of Mom and Dad, as you and I mentioned it too, I'm one of them. And there's still activities for first-time buyer. Do yourself a favor by asking question about it to focus on the needs, not just the product and the price, and focus on what we call to do is sales and marketing of a home, not a product.
Thank you so much for the insight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To my entire audience, coast to coast, I thank you for listening. I'm going to be shooting shortly Winson's Playbook, which is going to be a little bit more technical, and it is for the Brokers Playbook community members only. If you're interested or if you're curious as to what is inside that community, please visit brokersplaybook.com or send a question to the team at any of the social platforms. We'll see you inside.